Hey guys, welcome back to another What's for Dinner video. We've been having a lot of simple meals lately, but I've got some delicious recipes to share with you, so let's get started. Up first, we did something we don't do very often. We went out to eat. We got some yummy cheese curd burgers and boneless wings from Buffalo Wild Wings. We had some coupons and a special occasion, so we took advantage of it. All right, so for tonight's dinner, we're gonna have salads because we enjoy salads for dinner, but we're gonna bulk them up. I've got some hard-boiled eggs on the stove right now. These are still a tad bit frozen. They were called chicken breast strips. So they're not the chicken tenderloins. That's gonna be good enough. So all I'm gonna do here is I'm going to use my homemade ranch seasoning mix. This has onion powder, garlic powder, minced onion, dill, salt. My oven's up to temperature, so that's great. This has all the things in it, right? So we're just gonna do that. And I need hot sauce. I accidentally grabbed sriracha, hang on. This is Berman's hot sauce from Aldi, but it's pretty much like Frank's. I did grease my pan, of course. Flip them over. And we'll just repeat on the other side. Ranch seasoning and hot sauce. And then I'm gonna put this in the oven at 400 degrees. I don't think it's gonna take more than, I don't know, 15 to 20 minutes. So these are not big pieces. They are a tad bit frozen still, but they're not like really frozen. All right, so we'll get these in the oven and then we'll be making salads. And that's it for dinner. Just pulled it out of the oven and it's looking and smelling delicious. It only took about 17 minutes, I think, at 400 degrees. All right, so I just made salads, normal stuff, lettuce, tomato, cucumber, carrots on both, cheese on both. Jesse has some onions, I have some bacon pieces. We got hard-boiled eggs, croutons, and of course, the buffalo chicken. Jesse's adding the dressing because he adds the right amount. Mine is a homemade ranch, so it doesn't quite look as pretty because it's not super, super thin, but ranch for me, blue cheese for him. These are like medium-sized mixing bowls, so it might not look like it's a lot, but it's a good-sized salad. But we like extra room to mix them around. And that's our dinner for tonight. All right, tonight's dinner is the leftover buffalo chicken from yesterday. This was not on the meal plan. We were going to be somewhere tonight, but that got moved to next week. And last night, Jesse was like, we have a nachos tomorrow? And I was like, well, we can. So buffalo chicken nachos, we got some extra hot sauce. Jesse put ranch on my side. You know, I like the blue chips. He likes the white chips. And he's adding some blue cheese on his. And that's our dinner for tonight. Leftover buffalo chicken turned into buffalo chicken nachos, which is kind of a favorite around here. For tonight's dinner, we're gonna have some meatloaf. I already put some sweet potatoes in the slow cooker earlier today. And we're gonna get going on the meatloaf. My husband likes a pretty basic meatloaf. I don't have a recipe, but I have done like some variations of some like specialty ones, and he just prefers the regular, which works for me. So first I'm going to get my dish greased here. We're gonna set that to the side and work on our meatloaf. I always make our meatloaf with just 1 pound of ground beef. I think a lot of recipes call for like 1.5 to 2 pounds, but we just don't need that much. All right, so we have 1 pound of ground beef, and we're gonna add in 1 egg. So we're gonna eyeball from here. I don't really have measurements, but I'm gonna add in some dried minced onion. I'm gonna add in some Italian seasoning. A little bit of salt. I don't remember if I normally do this, but I'm gonna add in just a little bit of onion powder and garlic powder because I feel like that's good in pretty much everything. I like to add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and some breadcrumbs. I will add milk if I feel like it's needed. I'm gonna put on some disposable gloves because just don't like getting in there and getting it all stuck up underneath my fingernails. But I'm going to leave one hand out for now in case I need to add anything else. It's a little bit hard in the center, but not frozen, just a little hard. The thing with meatloaf or meatballs is that you don't want to over mix it. Because I think it makes it tough. I'm gonna add just a little bit more breadcrumbs and then we're gonna call it good. Ooh, this is cold. We're gonna get this in our loaf pan. I'm just gonna smash it out instead of shaping it fully like, I don't know, more like a loaf. I mean, it's still kind of in a loaf shape, but it'll be a little bit thinner, but it'll just cook faster. I'm gonna cook this at 350. I'm thinking it might take about 40 minutes, usually 40 minutes to an hour, but because I'm only using 1 pound of meat, I'm thinking it'll be closer to 40 minutes, but we shall see. All right, I'm gonna be checking on the meatloaf in a minute, but we're gonna make the sauce. I always just do the same thing, pretty simple. I like to put some on top of meatloaf, but also like to have some for dipping, so I'm gonna make a little extra here. And I don't have measurements for this either, but I will give you the general idea. Do ketchup. We're gonna add in some brown sugar, probably do like a hefty tablespoon. A little more. And some sriracha. So it's been almost 40 minutes and I'm just going to drain out that grease really quick. If you got one of those fancy meatloaf pans, that would be handy. I'm just gonna use a spoon, I think, and no, that's not gonna work. Coffee mug lined with foil. We're gonna try pouring it and see what happens here. That worked pretty good. Didn't quite get all of it, so I'm gonna use a spoon to get the rest. All right, so it is not done yet, but I'm gonna leave the thermometer in it, and what I want is finished temperature of 160. So I'm gonna pull it when it's at like 150 and put the sauce on and then finish it up. I'm gonna leave the thermometer in so that I don't lose track. All right, I know this meatloaf looks really tiny in this meatloaf pan, but it's a pound of meat, which is more than enough for 2 people. So that did not take much longer, probably just another 5 minutes. I'm just gonna put some of this sauce on top. All right, and we're gonna pop this back in the oven for another 5 to 10 minutes. And I've also got some broccoli, where is it? There we go. Broccoli steaming on the stove as well. So I really just made the meatloaf, steaming up some frozen broccoli, and sweet potatoes are in the slow cooker. Here's our meatloaf. We got some with sweet potatoes that are steaming up the camera, and some broccoli. That doesn't look like very much because I used a large pot for it because my steamer thing fits better in it, but there's actually a good amount in there. There we go. Simple, easy, and delicious is tonight's dinner. For tonight's dinner, I'm making a delicious chicken fried rice, and I'm gonna start by cutting up my carrots. I'm just cutting them kind of like matchstick style, nice and thin. I cut up about 4 large carrots. I am varying from the recipe just a little bit, but I will make sure to leave it linked down below for you. We're gonna start out by heating up some oil. I'm using some avocado oil, and I was going to use avocado oil and sesame oil, but when I pulled my sesame oil from my pantry, it expired almost 2 years ago. So we decided to just toss that. And I've got my chicken. I've got about a pound or so of chicken cubed up, and we're just going to toss it in there. I missed a piece. And however small it is, depends on how long it's going to take, but just a few minutes per side, and cooking that for about 3 to 5 minutes altogether until that is fully cooked. I often forget to say this in these videos, but if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel before you leave, and that way you can see my future videos. So once the chicken is all done, we're going to just pull that out. I know I'm using a fork, which is probably the hard way, but that's what I was already using, and I didn't want to dirty something else. I'm going to toss the carrots in to cook them up. Now, the recipe calls for the frozen peas and carrots, but I don't like peas, so I'm doing those separately, and I didn't have frozen carrots. So I'm adding in a little bit more oil because I felt like it just needed it. We're going to saute these carrots and get them nice and tender. And then I'm adding in some garlic. I'm just finishing up the jar, which is why you'll see some liquid there. I'm just pouring it all in, and we're going to cook that for just a little bit until the garlic is nice and fragrant. If you're using the frozen peas and carrots, you can just follow the recipe as is. I just adapted it a little bit. Once the carrots were tender and the broccoli or the garlic was fragrant, I pushed the carrots to the side and I put in, I think that was 3 eggs, and we're just going to scramble them. I did decide to add in a little bit of salt, and then once that is all cooked, we are going to add our chicken back in. And then the day before, yay for me, I remembered to cook rice. Day-old rice is better, but not necessary. And I think I made 1 cup of uncooked brown rice, and this is how much it yielded. And at first I didn't put it all in there, but in the end I ended up adding the rest of the rice. That was the right amount. And I'm just adding in coconut aminos. You can use soy sauce, and just going to stir that around. And that is it for this dinner. This was so good. The leftovers were so good. My husband had his with some cashews on it, and he really enjoyed that. So yes, this dinner, absolutely delicious, and we've made it before, and we will be making it again. Next up, we had some homemade pizza. Well, it's made at home. I used the pizza dough from Aldi, the Mama Cozies, and we really enjoy this. I don't know why. Lately, I've been struggling with dough, though. It's not the dough's fault. It's a me problem. Um, and I was actually really worried when I made this. I told my husband, I said, I don't have high expectations for this pizza. And then he was like, I think this is the best pizza we've ever made. And I was like, okay, well, perfect. So I'm just trying to stretch it out. I was struggling with it a little bit. I wanted to do this on parchment paper, which I've done before. Works good. It actually seems to be the best. I've had some struggles with dough sticking. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, but listen, I'm sharing with you what we eat and if we like it. So spreading it out until I have the size and shape-ish that I'm looking for. For our sauce, this is some marinara. It's from Aldi, but it's whenever I have some left over, I just put it in the freezer. So that's why I was pulling it out of a bag, and I had a couple bags with miscellaneous amounts, and I'm just defrosting enough for the pizza. So great tip, making sure I'm not wasting anything, and it works out great because I didn't have to open up a huge jar for this pizza. I am sorry if you can hear my husband mowing in the background. I don't know if it's picking up. I waited till he was like not right outside the window, but I'm trying to finish up this video and he's trying to take care of the yard, so it is what it is. Just gonna spread the sauce on. I try to remember to not do too much sauce. It looks like not enough, but if you do more, it's just really sloppy. So if you want extra sauce, just use it for dipping. And then I melted some butter and I'm adding in some garlic powder and some Italian seasoning. I'm also adding some Italian seasoning onto the sauce, and we're just gonna use this to brush on the crust. I'll be honest, this did not look like much of a crust. It looked like it was just super flat, and it came out really good. So anyways, we're just going to brush that around the edges of the pizza. And, homemade pizza is great. I guess you can mess it up, but I don't know. We didn't. I was going to say you can't really mess it up, but yes, you can. I shredded up some mozzarella, put a little bit of mozzarella on the bottom. Then I'm going to do pepperoni on my husband's side of the pizza. We just kind of divide it kind of in half. I usually give him a little more than half. And then I put some bacon bits on the other side. I just was keeping it simple. I didn't feel like cutting up ham or anything. Putting on some more cheese on the top. And then I put some oregano on my husband's side because he really likes that. I just drizzled the little bit of butter that was left because I didn't want to waste the butter and garlic. And drizzled that on top. Put some Parmesan on my side and pop that in the oven for about 15 to 17 minutes. and it was delicious. This pizza was amazing. I had a little bit of leftovers. That was also amazing. And that's it for today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. See you next time.